Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. We are back with some more conversation about Jadon Sancho, and we're joined by former Premier League player, Norwegian striker Jan Aage Fjortoft. Welcome to the show, Jan. It's a pleasure to have you on this Monday afternoon.
Pleasure to be on.
Okay, well, we're going to talk. For me, the most interesting thing is what we're going to talk about is Ole Gunnar Solskjær, obviously being a fellow Norwegian, and some of the quotes you came out with in 2014 and having played with him as well. I think you got 20 goals for Norway. Ole got 23, but both Norwegian legends. But we'll start off with, Jadon Sancho is dominating the airwaves at the moment in relation to Manchester United. You've been very, very good around German football, and we were just talking there that your background around German football is that you were over there as a pundit for 3 years, and you've got good connections over there.
Well, yes, I played with. I went from sitting on the bench for Barnes in the Championship. I'm playing for Eintracht Frankfurt for 65,000 people in Dortmund. So I got a good relationship to German football. I always say that my two loves are the German and the English league. So I'm very fortunate in that terms. And also that a lot of my generation now are heads or coaches or sport directors in Germany. And that's why I just kind of follow them more than the other leagues at the moment, because the TV channel I work with, Viasat, or called Nent now in Norway, we also have the right for German footballs. More or less every weekend I go to Germany.
So Jadon Sancho, you were saying at the end of last month, July, not that long ago, that it's a bit of a poker game with both clubs putting things into the media. Last night, quite a big development. I saw your tweet actually, and I know you were quoting Bild about this installment deal, which then this morning, again, you and Christian Falk having a little bit of what do you call it, sort of coming back and forth on Twitter. We've had Christian on the show as well. It feels like that this deal's getting closer, and the installments from Dortmund, they may be leaking that to put a bit of pressure on United. What's your feeling about this deal at the moment?
I think that international transfers, there are always games around them. Remember when you didn't get Haaland? I mean, Manchester United were good on pressuring journalists as well to tell a story about Raiola, and Raiola took too much money, they were too greedy, and so on and so on. So, I mean, this is 1-1 in terms of everything going on. That's what they do. Sometimes we tend to forget that, because when you get players in, this is big business deal. We are talking about 120 million euros. Just imagine you're going to buy an apartment somewhere in another country. You need lawyers, you need agents, you need bank guarantees, you need the governing bodies to allow you to extend the house and so on. So it's not that easy that a lot of people tend to think on Twitter. It's not like Ed Woodward will put himself, I saw he was at Carrington today, but it's not like he just put himself in a plane and go down, and I got my money in my back pocket. So this is very, very, very complicated. And there are a lot of parties involved in this, and that we forget to sometimes think of as well. And a lot of people, we knew that when Sancho was going back to England, I mean, he is an Englishman and he wants to go back to England. He will have a look at which clubs could be interesting for me, which clubs could be after me. Well, we say Manchester City, that won't happen because he was there, and going back there is not exactly the same. And then you will have a look. The other club, Liverpool, did or does. Would Klopp love to have Sancho? Of course he would. His best mate is the CEO of Dortmund. He would love to have him there, but at the moment, timing is not right, because he's been told by his owners he didn't even come up with half the money to get Timo Werner, and Timo Werner ended up in Chelsea. And same now with Sancho, of course. And what I think is the great thing about the Sancho Manchester United thing is that Manchester United with Ole Gunnar Solskjær, and we'll talk about that later, but of course. But the way when I played in England, Manchester United built their on the academy, the class of '92, and all that kind of things. So this player, Jadon Sancho, he kind of tick every box, doesn't he? I've seen more or less before Corona. After that, I wasn't allowed to travel, of course. I saw more or less every game because of Haaland. So when I saw the games, I mean, Sancho was fantastic. I mean, I saw the whole game. Look at Haaland. That's why you're here. Yeah, he's scoring the goals. But Sancho's, every time he gets the ball, he creates chances, he scores goals, he makes assists for the players. So when it's not a surprise that this is going to be the hottest object in a transfer window or a transfer period, that nobody have no idea how it's going to go. So, and there is just one club who need a global player, and it's a bit back. I just get this Galacticos feeling now. I mean, I've been listening a lot to Perez when he said we need the biggest players. And to be fair to Manchester United, got themselves into Champions League, great. Bit disappointing in the semi-final because that title was up for grab for all Manchester United. They need someone to spark their team. You need someone who people will look up to. Wow, you got that players. And at the moment, that is Jadon Sancho. He will be the hottest property in this transfer window. And Kai Havertz is a great player as well, but he's not the same aura around him. And get Sancho back to Manchester United, that is a match in heaven. And that's where we are now. The player wants to leave. Not that he doesn't like to be in Dortmund, but he just feels that, well, I've done what I can do here, and I'm English. I want to go home. And Manchester United, I mean, the last year has not been as good as the Manchester United or the neutrals as well are used to. But then going back to Manchester United and be a superstar at a global brand like Manchester United, that got to be tempting for every player in the world.
What do you think about this August the 10th deadline? You mentioned that these deals, and you're absolutely right, it's not just about turning up with the money. There's the Jadon Sancho side of things as well, with the market, players these days, their brands themselves. There's a lot of United fans getting quite excited that this could happen this week. I mean, as a United fan myself, we tend to take quite a long time to do deals. Dortmund obviously seem to want to do it quick because they will want to do other business. Do you feel that this deal, I mean, I think everyone feels like there's a very good chance it will happen. Do you think it will happen before the 10th of August, or do you think Dortmund are just trying to put that there to move it along quick, but they'd be happier to do it, they'll be happy to do it sort of mid to late August if needs be?
Well, we have to understand the history of Dortmund. I mean, they're twice been pressurized to get rid of players. Aubameyang more or less went to strike to leave and go to Arsenal. Dembélé did the same at Barcelona. That is not good for Dortmund. So, mind you now, they met up at Thursday, and it's been quite calm now. And I think I know that they have a very good dialogue with Jadon Sancho. Nobody says anything. There are no postings on any social media. They take this now in a way that they want to show responsibility. They have also respect for their own fans. I mean, mind you, imagine Manchester United will losing one of their hottest property in say Greenwood. I mean, you can lose Greenwood, and Greenwood will go to Bayern Munich. I mean, the fans of Manchester United will be terrified by the idea, and I think that's why the leaders now at Dortmund got to do this carefully. It's an interesting transfer window because the transfer window is like for ages this year, and the league in Germany starts the 18th of September. So people will think that why this 10th of August deadline, and I think that is to understand the history of Dortmund. They can't have this dragging on. And to be fair to Manchester United, they got the money. Maybe the club with the kind of best money possibilities now going into this window. They need a star. They need someone to get on. So I think that is a move from Dortmund. They go into training camp the 10th of August. They go into Switzerland, and they want to know which kind of players they bring in. Yes, you have a record of taking long, but I think that point is clearer also because your neighbor Manchester City tend to do it just quick. But I think that is also a bit of the media thing around it, because Manchester United's transfer will always be more in the media than Manchester City. They will do it quicker. They will do it quicker also because they got maybe another scouting network in other places by Guardiola and Spain and that kind of thing. And you have that lack of a sporting director and all that kind of things. There's a lot of things playing into that. But do I think that will happen before 10th of August? It's most likely it will happen before 10th of August. Do I think that they could drag out for some more days if Manchester United will come up with 120 million euro? Yes, I do.
I'll tell you what, though, I think there'll be a lot of United fans watching this later, and they'll like the fact that you said it is likely that it could happen, and when it's no definite thing. But we do tend to drag these transfers on, and I think you've hit the nail on the head with regards to the difference between a Man City and a Manchester United in that sporting director role. Working in the job that you do you think that is a hindrance to Solskjær? And because I mean, he's not the man out there doing the jobs, doing the transfers. That's a role that many of our viewers really wish we had at Manchester United, was a sporting director. You've been around football a long time, Jan. Do you think that is something that would help Manchester United in this market to make us, not only quicker but more competitive, really? Because you look at what Man City have done with Ferran Torres and maybe Nathan Aake as well, but especially on Ferran Torres, a decent player for a very good price. Whereas Manchester United, we always feel that it's a long deal and we always end up having to pay a lot more. Not that Sancho's not worth it, but we do pay a lot of money as well.
Well, I think the short answer is yes. Then having said that, I mean, Bruno Fernandes, I mean, it's like Manchester United when he was linked to the club, all the Manchester United fans, we have to get him. And 9 of 10 probably have never heard about Bruno Fernandes. That's just how our circus is, isn't it? But I'm surprised. I mean, I run my own a communication company in Norway. I work a lot with how you put up a management. And it just surprised me somehow that if you see Liverpool, they've been doing so well with Michael Edwards, he's in the background, but he's always there. They got a management around it. Maybe Manchester United got it as well, but then it's a big secret. And I can't understand seeing that from outside. And there are probably good reasons for it, as it always is. But that you have Oliver head of sports, so to say, but he's head of the starting 11. He's a head of the first team. And I don't understand that. I think it should be an advantage for Solskjær to have a sporting director where he can define his wishes. I want these and these players. Can you go to the board, try to sort that out? And I would see that an advantage for Ed Woodward as well, that he will need that man that could go in between. Also when the annoyance of the Manchester United fans would think don't happen. I mean, why doesn't Woodward like to share that blame or that guilt with the sporting director? So I think that will end up they will get one, and then they need to get one with great connections. But if they get Sancho now, you got Pogba, you got Bruno Fernandes. So there are some 3 good signings for our sporting director. So I guess that will be the argument from the Manchester United management side.
I wasn't telling you to be quiet, Jan. Somebody was just walking around the back and they didn't realise I was recording. You can talk. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjær, actually, from what I know of Manchester United, obviously very happy with the coaching network. We'll talk about that in a minute. But above Ole Gunnar Solskjær, and Jose Mourinho said this, I was the person above me, there wasn't much football knowledge. A lot of it's a boardroom level. So to have that sporting director who knows what they're doing, it can only be supportive towards someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjær, really, or whoever the Manchester United manager is. We'll talk about that in a minute, Ollie. Jadon Sancho then looks very likely that he'll be coming to Manchester United. You've touched on watching him a lot. Just for Manchester United fans out there, again, we all know who Jadon Sancho is, but nobody will have watched him probably as much as you have over the 6 months before COVID. Is this a player that I actually was somebody who knew a lot about Bruno, and I said I feel he will hit the ground running because he's a leader. He's that sort of player, whether he plays bad or not. If he plays bad, he still gets penalties and assists. With Jadon Sancho, is this something that United fans need to be patient with? Do you think he'll take time to adjust the Premier League, or do you think he will just come in straight away? Because he's still very young. The price tag fits him, but he's still a very young player. How do you think he will benefit Manchester United and adapt to the Premier League?
Well, there's a lot of things Jadon Sancho would get when he gets to Manchester United, but patient is not one of them. If you pay that amount of money, you need to be good from the first game. That's just the name of the game. I've also seen a lot of Manchester United games as I follow them in the Champions League and general interest in watching Manchester United games. And sometimes in the past, and sometimes by me, I played 6 years in England, and I played Manchester United with all the great players playing there and the young players coming through the ranks when I was there. Manchester United always excited me. I love to watch Manchester United play football. And I'm a neutral. I just follow follow Manchester United or Liverpool as anybody else when I see football. You had Giggsy taking on people. You had a midfield, very stable midfielder. You always had a great number 9 or great number 9s because you had 4. I remember in '99. I mean, the amount of strikers you had scoring goals that time was like unbelievable. So I think that when Mourinho, Van Gaal, Moyes kind of time, Manchester United bored me a bit. I mean, yeah, I know you were second in the league. Yeah. I know you were second in the league, winning the European League. There were the trophies coming in. But I think a part of Manchester United, I grew up with a dad who was so excited telling me about the 68 team, the fantastic team. Then you had the 70s when things didn't go that well because you had a lack of exciting players. So I think that one of the things, what you're going to do now is to build up Manchester United, is to get in exciting players. Of course, they're going to be an organized team. I think that the great thing about Ole now in the second part of the season is that you can see there is a game plan. There is a way that you want to do. It's not that you only react. I mean, at the beginning when Ole got the results, there was a lot of reactions. There was not a lot of actions. And I like the Manchester United that you got yourself into the third position now by an own play, which is a credit to Ole as well, or to Ole and to the players. But I think that you need those players to excite you. And Jadon Sancho is a good start. I mean, he's one of those players when he gets the ball, you just sense in the stands something will happen. Something will happen. He will either score, he will either make an assist, he will be fouled, or something will happen, or you will be unbelievably frustrated that he dribbled 3 and then he dribbled the 4th. But so I think that is a great player to get in. And I think when you see the great teams around in the world, there is always players that excite you. And I think that has been a lack of those kind of players at Manchester United. And I think that's why he is the perfect signing.
Do you think he will just play off the right wing? I mean, we know he's played off the left side for Dortmund as well. We know United's front 3 with Martial and Rashford and Greenwood has been quite fluid. Do you think that Sancho will be used primarily off the right, or do you see that he can play anywhere in those positions? Or
I am a pundit before games, and I listen to other pundits, and I think we sometimes spend too much time discussing it's going to be a 4-2-3-1 or we're going to play a 5-3-2. I mean, what we have learned in my generation, we had 2 strikers, we have one big one and a small one, more or less. And nowadays, you never know where they play. I mean, when you put up numbers, you never will. Is he Aubameyang? Is he a striker or is he a left winger? I mean, which has been this year more or less. They're coming from all over the place. They will find a place for him, and I mean that is going to be a big thing to get him into his best positions. If he starts from left or right, I don't see that's going to be a big problem because the modern players, these young kids, I mean, it just seems that they can play in any position. They're coming from left or playing from right. I was, as an old-fashioned striker, I was the number 9. I need to be close to the goal. Say Sancho will start off getting the ball in his own half and he will somehow end up being in a scoring position anyway. So I don't think that they will find a place for him.
Just before we talk about Ollie, just one thing that's popped into my head that no one really has spoken about recently. A couple of weeks ago, there was this story that Dortmund, they're quite relaxed. They'll sell him if the fee is met, but they will keep him if not. Do you think we've moved on from that now? Do you think there is any prospect of Sancho staying at Borussia Dortmund? Do you think Dortmund have now sort of accepted that it's now the time to cash in, presuming Manchester United do offer a reasonable price? Do you think Dortmund have sort of changed tack now? Because it felt like they wanted to keep him at one point.
I remember that first summer when Cristiano Ronaldo was linked to Real Madrid and he still stayed for another year. And I always use that argument. I always say that there is a Cristiano Ronaldo argument. They will tell the player that be good now this season, we'll let you go next summer. I mean, just do the business for us. And Jadon Sancho was a lot of linked, even if he was only 18. And he's been linked so many times leaving the country. So I think that the main thing was that Jadon Sancho, he felt it was time to go home. He felt it was time to go back to his home country. But I think it was very important, like I've said before, that it was very important for Dortmund to seem strategic, to seem professional in terms of the players they're going to go out. And if I was the Dortmund management, and I haven't talked to them about this, but I would have told Sancho, if you do any trouble, we'll keep you here. But if you are sensible, if you are a professional, if you let your agent keep his mouth shut, we will let you go. But remember, we have to try to get a prize. The prize is 120 million euro. They've been very clear on that from day one. They've also said the 10th of August, and that's their standpoint. And that's why we now have moved into the stage. They started off with an initial fee of 60. That is too low for them. Now it's up to 70. But I can see somewhere 80, 90, and this 30, 40. And I mean, the amounts we are talking about is just ridiculous, isn't it? But still, I can see it now that it gone into a new stage. Of course, Dortmund got to say, if we can keep Sancho here, we'd be more than happy. But remember, and it's important to remember, that the financial situation, even for the big clubs, is much more different now. There's so many home games that Dortmund have played without 81,000 people in their stands. Yeah. And I mean, at any business, that will hurt you. So that hasn't at least made it less likely that they had to sell one of the players.
Yeah. It's funny. We were talking in lockdown. I think we had Fabrizio Romano on, and he mentioned 100 million euros. And I always felt that it would be around 80 to 90. Obviously, there'll be additions to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we paid about 80 million for him. But hopefully, like you say, that will move quicker. Let's talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjær then. I mean, Norwegian legend yourself. I do remember your days at Swindon and Middlesbrough and Borough. Oh, I think he's gone. Hopefully he'll pop back. There he is. You still there? Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
I can't see you there. I can see you as well. Okay.
Great. I was just saying, I remember your days in the Premier League as a striker yourself. You played with Ole at Norway, and there was. I'll just tell the viewers this. Actually, I read this article this morning when I knew you were coming on the show from 2014 with The Guardian, and I'll just say, you predicted that Cardiff might go down, but Ole will have a bright future as a manager, and that you always knew he'd go into management because even when you were doing extra training and you loved football, but Ole loved it to a different level. He was always writing things down even after training. So what's your feeling as Ole Gunnar Solskjær as a manager for Manchester United? Because he's had a few bumps, even myself in January, I felt that things were getting really bad after the Burnley result. But since Bruno's come in, we've found an identity and we've started, like you say, reacting and playing on the front foot. How do you feel about Solskjær at the moment at Manchester United and where it's heading?
Well, first of all, Ole Gunnar is a good guy. We are from the same county. There are 19 counties. There used to be 19 counties in Norway, and he was a bit younger than me. So of course, you follow him coming into the national team. I was on my way. I'm not on my way out, but I was older, and I remember a game in Northern Ireland. We played Northern Ireland away. I was captain for my country, very proud. Ole Gunnar was in there, and Ole Gunnar said to me, well, listen, Jan, when you're out there now, and he was a young kid, and he said, I will follow you, and I tried to learn from him. I thought he was taking a piss. I was having a go with me, but he was. That's how he was, and he did that with a lot of players. He did that with a lot of different people. But in 2014, when he went to Cardiff, and I followed his manager career, he did well in Molde, made him into a team of winners. But of course, it's another level to go into the Premiership. And I mean, the owners at Cardiff was probably not as right. But I mean, my prediction then was, and it pops up on Twitter all the time, is that if you see a club like Manchester United, it's like when you have a dominant manager like Sir Alex Ferguson, you will first look for the copy. The copy will fail. Okay, read Moyes. Then you will look for a very experienced one. Read Van Gaal. And then when that doesn't happen as good as you think, then you will just look for anyone who can win you trophies. Read Mourinho. And when Mourinho leaves, then you will just look for the pupil of Sir Alex Ferguson. You will look for that player who is at that time the most fitting one to be a manager. And mind you, I said this in 2014. It's not to make me so very wise, but it's if you know your football history, you see around, there's a lot of things happening. And there were a lot of former Manchester United legends that have always been linked with the club. When I was in Middlesbrough, I had Brian Robson as my manager. They thought he could be a future Manchester United manager. There was Steve Bruce, and there were a lot of others who were linked to the job. But Ole Gunnar at the time, and there's a lot of timing in football. First of all, timing is important in terms of who you are, but it's also which manager you come after. And after a Mourinho, you need a healer. You need a Ole Gunnar Solskjær. I was in Sevilla when Manchester United played them in the Champions League. I think that was the last Champions League game of Jose Mourinho. And it was like I was reporting from Titanic after they hit the iceberg. It was like unbelievable. I couldn't believe how down the club was, not only on the pitch, but moody-wise. It was like unbelievable. So then you needed that kind of manager like Ole Gunnar Solskjær, and he came in, and I was also there in Paris. I think that was the main game when Rashford got that goal and they saved himself. The Glazers were there, so they just had to give him to him. But I agree with you. I mean, at the time there was also time where I thought, well, maybe this is too big for Ole. How can he change this around? I mean, nothing to say against his skills. It's just like Manchester United is like one of the biggest clubs in the world, and yes, it was a time when Bruno Fernandes came in, but there's always a lot of compliment was given to Ole Gunnar Solskjær, because now you see a Manchester United way of playing, and Ole brought in Bruno, and the way the club plays is so much differently. And I think that I made an interview with Ole now before the semi-finals, and I asked him, how have you changed since you came there before Christmas? I was before Christmas, wasn't it? Yeah. And until now. And he said, mind you, Jan, now I have my team. I've been here for a while now. Now the players know how I'm thinking. And that's a fair comment. Because if you compare Ole Gunnar's manager career with a Klopp or a Guardiola, he will always be second. He'll always be behind them, the two of them. And the Pochettino, they're a lot more experienced than him. So, of course, he needed that time. And there was a wise coach who once said, Otto Rehagli said, you have to plan long term, but you have to win short term. And I think that Ole Gunnar has kind of find that balance. And I think all Norwegians, unlike myself, we are very proud of him at the moment.
Well, just what's he like? You've spent time with him, as a younger man, as a player, and obviously, you interview him and things, and I presume there's a relationship there, being fellow Norwegians. But as Manchester United fans, we see as a player and as a manager a very likable. Everyone loves Ollie. But then some people would say in the dressing room, behind the scenes, is he that? Has he got that side that you need to have if you're going to be a manager? Whether it's a nasty side, not necessarily, but certainly a forceful, this is my way. What's he like, sort of off camera? Is he the same? Does he have that different side to him that we don't see?
Well, how I see him, and also as a player when we played together. I mean, his nickname was called Baby Assassin, and I think that name kind of give him all, because you can't be a goal getter of that format without being an assassin. You need to have that extra thing to make it happen. You have to, although Ole Gunnar was not a typical selfish striker, but still you need a bit selfishness. You have to believe in yourself that you can score those kind of goals. And he was a very team player. That's why Ferguson and the Manchester United fans loved him. But mind you, there's no chance that he can survive on the top only being nice. And we read about the stories now that the people have succeeded under him. But there is also Manchester United players who can't get games at the moment. And I'm not sure that they will feel that he is the nicest man alive. That is just management. And Jock Stein said once, the legendary Scottish Celtic manager, and he said, the key to great leadership is to take the 6 that hate you away from the 5 who haven't decided yet if they hate me or not. And I think that Ole Gunnar knows about those kind of things. And he's also humble enough to learn from the people around him. Yes, at the beginning, there was a lot of talking about Sir Alex Ferguson, the coach, the boss and everything. He doesn't do that anymore. I think he's find a way, but still that respect and that experience that he picked up being in that Manchester United dressing room for over 10 years, and also as a reserve coach, of course, he learned a lot of that. So, of course, he wouldn't throw that just overboard and think that I'm going to use that. He's not that nice as he looks. Ole Gunnar is a very, very nice guy, but he knows when he's going to be a bad guy as well. And I say bad guy in a funny way, because bad way for a manager is that you have to tell players, well, I don't trust you. I don't want to play you. I have to sell you. I can't have you here, and so on and so on. And he got that skill.
Well, look, people who watch this channel know I was never a big fan of Marouane Fellaini. Not on a personal level, just as I never felt he was a Manchester United player. And of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjær came in within a month and moved him on. So, he did that.
Which is a bit surprisingly, because with Ole Gunnar, we were part of different teams in Norway, and we always had that fantastic header, and we need that kind of guy. But having said that, I mean, sometimes you will start to have a way you want to play, and then you have to kind of, after you have the way you want to play, then you have to define the players you need to achieve that way of playing. And Fellaini didn't fit into that. But you see other teams. You see now with Chelsea, we have a Giroud who didn't get a game, and then suddenly he got games because he was that strong number 9 for Chelsea. So, but having said that, I didn't compare Fellaini with Giroud. Giroud is a world champion. So sorry for that, with your statement of Fellaini.
If you're watching, Oliver. So Ole Gunnar Solskjær and Jadon Sancho, if everything goes to plan, they will be together next year. We finished 3rd this year, Manchester United. Solskjær seems to be going from strength to strength. Manchester United with Sancho will definitely be improving. Where do you see Manchester United's immediate future? Do you think that they can close that gap? Do you think Ole can close that gap on the Liverpools and Man Cities, which I think we would both agree at the moment, not nice as a United fan, but they are a long way ahead. Is Solskjær and Sancho the step in that direction to do that?
You got to do that, because the thing is that, the Champions League position gave you more time to close that gap. I mean, you have to be in there in the Champions League among the best. But I'm a generation. I'm much older than you. So I remember when Sir Alex Ferguson said that for Manchester United to be second in the league is terrifying. It's terrible for us. So you can't be that many points after Liverpool Football Club and Manchester City. And I mean, there could be excuses all over the place. You can do continuity with the manager at Liverpool or the money of Manchester City. But I think we have to be fair in the analysis. And Manchester United spent some money as well on some, I'm not saying useless player, but not players who took you to the next step. So Ole Gunnar will have a big job ahead of him. That is to close that gap. I don't think you should expect Manchester United to win the league next year. That got to be amazing. Having said that, we've seen Leicester, we've seen Inter this season in Italy, just 1 point behind Juventus, who seem to be ages or spaces before every other team. So I think that there are two things that you have to see from Manchester United next season, or you have to see from Ole Gunnar Solskjær. The gap got to be closer, and I think you have to keep on developing your own way of playing. And I think when the fans see that, and you have to remember, I mean, that 3rd position, that on the paper it seems good, and it ending up being in an okay season. But the fans with Sancho coming in, with maybe maybe a couple of other signings, you will kind of expect Manchester United to be closer. But I think that is a great position, because in Germany, I speak German fluent, and they have an expression called der lachende Dritte. That is the laughing number 3. And maybe the position Manchester United got now with a Liverpool team that have won everything a bit. I'm not saying they're not hungry anymore, but still, when you're winning the league in that way, you're as far as now, the reigning champion of Champions League and everything. With Manchester City is kind of changing a bit around in the personnel now. I mean, maybe that is the best position Manchester United could be in. They could be the challenger. They could kind of get closer, because people won't have them as a candidate to win the league. But maybe that is the best position all that Manchester United could be in.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, look, Jan, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. I'm not that far behind you in age. I think I just look a little bit young, but I hope so anyway. But I do remember all those Sir Alex Ferguson days and the early Premier League days, and it's a real pleasure to have you on, because I do remember that. And then obviously following you on Twitter, which I'll drop the link in the video description so that everyone can give you a follow.
Yeah. Fantastic, and thanks for having me on. And I'm very. I'm not rude when I say that you look a lot younger than me, and so I'll put my glasses on. And hopefully I'm still right, but it was a pleasure to be on, and all the best.
Thank you very much. And the links in the video description, everybody, to follow Jan on Twitter. Lots of things going on around Dortmund at the moment, and Jan's certainly tweeting about that. And remember to smash a like on the video.